Hi everybody, welcome back. This is the next episode of our 1992 WWF save on TEW9. We are trying to get Jim Powers over, but there's a long way to go before we start that. This is our second episode of WWF Superstars. After this, we have one more episode of Superstars, then it's the Royal Rumble. So there'll be a bit of build-up in this particular episode. I don't have any pre-show matches actually. I just completely forgot to sort of book any really. So we open up with the Beverly Brothers taking on our new tag team of Jim Duggan and Sergeant Slaughter. And it's the Beverly Brothers who get the win in 5 minutes 56. Bo Beverly pinned Jim Duggan with a Shaker Heights spike after the Genius interfered. Sergeant Slaughter was head and shoulders above everyone else. I'm actually quite pleased with the show rater with the match rating here because the Beverly Brothers aren't anything special, and Duggan and Slaughter are both sort of getting on in years. The wrestling was 57 and the crowd was 58. Now, I'm very pleased with this. We have started a storyline between these two teams as well. There'll be a little bit more about it soon. We've called it the American Way. Yeah, it's just a name that popped in my head. The crowd is simmering. What happens next? Gene Okerlund interviews Sid Justice, who says he feels he has a very reasonable chance of winning the Royal Rumble, but there's a good few great wrestlers who will also be after the prize, including Ric Flair, Jake Roberts, Money Incorporated, Rick Martel, people like that. Notice he's only mentioned heels here. And then Hogan comes out and he just bigs Sid up really, and he's Sid's pal, and he just says, Sid, I actually think you've got a great chance of winning the Royal Rumble. You're a big, powerful man. You're strong. You know what you're doing in the ring. You've got my full support. You've got my backing. I really think you can do well in this. Overall rating is 72. Very pleased with this. Yes, we've got a storyline going on between Hogan and Justice. At the moment, they are still friends. Then we've got a news section with Sean, I think he called him Money then. Maybe he was a bit of a moaner, I don't know. Sean Mooney. And he cuts to promos from Jim Powers, Skinner, Dino Bravo, and Rick Martel. We just shoved Martel in there just for something, just to stick someone else in there, really. But we do have a storyline going on. Obviously, we're trying to get Jim Powers over, and we've kind of just stuck Dino Bravo and Skinner in the storyline at the moment, just because you can't have a storyline with just one person. So, the first few parts of Jim Powers' rise will be with Dino Bravo and Skinner. Obviously, it's all really going to kind of kick off at the Royal Rumble, but wanted to get something going here. Rating of 52, nothing special, but there's no great stars on this particular segment. El Matador takes on Shawn Michaels, and we get a decent match. Shawn Michaels gets the win in 8 minutes 46 by pinfall with a sweet chin music. Pleased with the result here as well. El Matador's down as unimportant, and Shawn Michaels, I think, is only recognisable at the moment. The wrestling got a 58, crowd 48, and overall 68. So I'm pleased with that. Shawn Michaels a decent score there of 64 as well. Just wanted to get Shawn Michaels on the card. He's not one of these guys I want to sort of forget about. I should probably have him in a story, but we've got quite a few on the go at the moment, so we'll just hold off for a little bit. But I don't want to forget that he's around, because he's obviously a guy who is going to become a big star. We do want to start using him. Money Inc. take on Mario Mancini and Rudy Gonzalez. So it's just a throwaway match, really, just to get Money Inc. on the card, get them some ring action. And it says here we had subpar wrestling and little heat. Money Inc. defeated Mario Mancini and Rudy Gonzalez in 8 minutes 6 seconds when $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase pinned Mancini with a diving back elbow drop. And this was our storytelling match as well. $1 Million Man was head and shoulders above everyone else. 62 isn't too shabby. Ted DiBiase is obviously, I think he's a star, and IRS is, I think, well known, and the other guys are just jobbers. So, yeah, pleased with that. $1 Million Man getting a 72. That's fantastic. And another news segment with Sean Mooney, and he talks a bit about WWF and then cuts to promos from Ric Flair, who is with Mr. Perfect. And he just talks about last week where Randy Savage kind of confronted him about his chances of winning the Royal Rumble. And, Flair's just, who the hell does Savage think he is? I am the real world champion, and I'm going to prove it at the Royal Rumble. I'm going to take the WWF gold to go along with my other belt. I don't even think he had it he still had it at this time. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if that's incorrect. I started watching in March of this year, so I don't really know what happened before that. Did he still have the NWA belt here? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so that's Ric Flair's kind of segment. And then we have a Randy Savage promo as well. And he cuts a Royal Rumble promo, how he thinks he's got a chance of winning the Royal Rumble. And he pays particular attention to Ric Flair. And he says if, Ric Flair finds himself in the Royal Rumble match at the same time as me, then he needs to watch his back because I will be gunning for him. The Mountie with Bret Hart announced that they have secured an Intercontinental title match at the Royal Rumble against Bret Hart. And we have the British Bulldog, as I put here, not the British Bulldog. He cuts a Royal Rumble promo. And again, this was just to get sort of British Bulldog used. Another guy I don't want to forget about, so let's just get him on there sort of when we can, even if it's just a throwaway segment. 72 rating overall, pleased with that one. B.A. Dalton and the Brooklyn Brawler take on the New Foundation. Another throwaway tag team match. I had three tag team matches on this card, which is more than I would normally do. Usually only be one or two, but just kind of worked out that way. But it did turn out to be an abysmal match. The New Foundation got the win in 6 minutes 41 seconds. Owen Hart submitted the Brooklyn Brawler with a sharpshooter. So we get a 38 for the wrestling, 30 for the crowd, 48 overall. I didn't think we'd get much, but there is another reason we wanted the New Foundation to have a match on this card, and that is because post-match, the Nasty Boys with their manager Jimmy Hart come down, and they are due to get some airtime and just give a self-promo, but they get there a little bit early and they bully the New Foundation out of the ring, and they basically just sort of knock them about a bit, push them around, shove them out of the ring. This is our time now. Get out. You've had your spotlight. You've won your match. Now, don't get in the way of our spotlight. And then they just cut a self-promo on the Royal Rumble. The whole purpose of this is, yes, we've got a storyline with the New Foundation and the Nasty Boys. 63 overall for this rating. Gene Okerlund interviews Bret Hart, who is just obviously he now knows he'll be facing the Mountie at Royal Rumble for the Intercontinental title. So Gene Okerlund wants his response, and Bret says, look, to be honest, I would rather be defending the belt against an honest, talented wrestler like Roddy Piper, but a contract has been signed, and instead I'm going to have to face that low life, the Mountie, a fellow Canadian, but to be fair, he should be ashamed. He should feel ashamed to wear that uniform. He's not a real Canadian. He's not an honourable man. But a deal's a deal. We've got a contract, and I've just got to beat him now at the Royal Rumble and keep hold of this belt. Then I will be giving Roddy Piper a chance. Rating of 71. Randy Savage takes on Sonny Blaze, and he gets the win in 6 minutes 3 seconds. He wins it with a flying elbow drop. Well, I'm really pleased with a 70. I wasn't sure. I mean, obviously Randy Savage is absolutely superb, but when you put these main guys in with jobbers, you never know how much the jobbers are going to drag it down. I mean, the wrestling only got a 58. The crowd was a 50. So, yeah, 70 overall. Very pleased with that one. I mean, Randy Savage is 83. Absolutely superb. Just wanted to get Randy Savage a wrestling match. Simple as that, really. I was debating whether putting him in the main event of this particular card, but there was someone else I wanted to get on as well. Post-match, we've got a 2-minute video package where we focus on Jake the Snake Roberts and Randy Savage. Basically, it's an announcement that next week, Jake Roberts will take on Randy Savage. It's going to be the storyline ending match. We're going to end that storyline. In fact, we might not end the storyline because we've got The Undertaker in there as well. We might just take Randy Savage out of the equation, but it's going to be the blow-off match between Jake Roberts and Randy Savage. So he'll be in the main event next week. Another reason not to have him in the main event this week. Rating of 71 overall. Then we've got a WWF magazine segment, and I wasn't concentrating when I typed these things up. I never am, I don't think. Magazine artile, that should obviously say article, where the big boss man has a bit of a segment, and he's just saying he wants to clean up the filth that's currently residing in the WWF, and he wants to start with that Robin, son of a gun, the Repo Man. So yeah, the Repo Man, I mean, repossession men, I mean, that's like a real job, isn't it? But yeah, I don't think the Repo Man is doing it for particularly good intentions. And we have a promo from the Reaper Man who responds to this article, and he says, look, I'm just doing an honest job. You know, we didn't go into too much detail, but Reaper Man's like, you know, what have I done? I'm doing an honest job. I'm a repossession man. You know, what's wrong with that? Rating is 61 overall, and it kicks that storyline off between the Reaper Man and the Big Boss Man. And our main event, we've got the Texas Tornado taking on the Undertaker. Yeah, I wanted to give the Undertaker a main event spot, and trying to think what kind of opponent he can have that's just kind of not a throwaway TV match, but, you know, it's not pay-per-view level. Texas Tornado kind of fit that bill. The Undertaker gets the win in 11 minutes 14 seconds by pinfall with a tombstone pile driver. 73 overall, another good one. We had the Texas Tornado was penalised due to going through some personal issues, which was a shame, but that's still a really good rating. 62 for the wrestling, 65 for the crowd. Yeah, really pleased with that one. 70 overall. So yeah, not our best show. Well, saying that, I don't know, what did we get for the first show? I can't remember, but we've lost popularity in 10 regions. We've gained in 1, but we are at the moment, you know, we're a big company. We've got a lot of popularity in some areas. So there's going to be times when we're just going to have, you know, we're going to lose a bit of popularity. And unless we're sort of hitting 85 plus, we're not going to gain in a lot of areas. So the financial report then, we've made 138,000 on this show. Yeah, the popularity report. So yeah, I mean, we're sitting at early 80s in most of the US. So unless we're hitting 85 plus, we're just not going to gain pop in the US. But it's fine. I can kind of live with that. So we'll just have a quick look at the emails post Superstars. I was just drug test fees. That's it. So yeah, I don't think I've got too much to go through actually as far as behind the scenes is concerned. We've got just over 13 million in the bank, so we're not going to have any money problems in this particular save. I am possibly looking at introducing a performance center. It might seem a bit early, but I like to do that in my saves. Actually, I do like to do that in my games. Yeah, we'll have a quick look at the roster. I just always I don't usually do it after TV. I normally just look after pay-per-views, but just have a quick look to see if there's anything here, anyone sort of gone up to Major Star or anything. I don't think it's a big surprise that I'm turning to Justice, so I don't mind you seeing that. As I say, this is generally a behind-the-scenes series anyway, so I shouldn't really have an issue with showing you any of this sort of stuff. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there. A shorter episode, much shorter than the last episode. I might, even if they end up being really short, I might actually do 2 superstars in 1 episode. I don't know, maybe, we'll see. Actually, quick look at the storylines before I go then. We've got quite a few now. We need 5 rated at hot or above. So the Nasty Turn, I mean, it wasn't the best segment to kick it off, but so that's sitting at cold. Fair to Flair is extremely hot. Icy Gold is very hot. Hot for Jimmy's loyalties. Cold for Nothing But a Thief. That's Big Boss Man, Reaper Man. Again, yeah, unless we put a couple of major stars in there, you know, this isn't going to be a white hot storyline. Power to Powers, yeah, it's another one at the moment that's going to be very cold. I've stuck the Texas Tornado in there as well, just because I felt that Jim Powers should have someone that kind of takes his side a little bit. It's not a major star, I know. I don't want to really kind of hot shot Jim Powers. I mean, if we put someone like Randy Savage in there, straight away Jim Powers is just going to get an amazing rub. I don't think that would be particularly realistic, that Jim Powers would get someone like Savage on his side. Maybe that's nothing against Jim Powers as a worker, but his gimmick didn't he wasn't presented as a massive star, you know, and we kind of want to slow build him into that position. We've got Sid Here's the Chance, which is very hot. Snake Bite, extremely hot. And The American Way, I told you, the Beverly Brothers and Slaughter and Duggan. And yeah, that's still showing us a little cold as well. But as long as we've got 5 hot or above, yeah, but we've got a lot of storylines. So I don't want to have sort of too many on the go. As I said, I know there's a couple of other people that should probably have storylines, but there's only a certain amount of hours of TV time every week. But I think I'm going to leave it there because I am kind of rambling now. If you've liked it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Please think about it if you haven't yet. And I'll see you all again soon. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.